Important do you think it is to be integrative in real estate? It's kind of a crazy question, isn't it? Integrity is important in life, in my mind. So I'm going to tell you a story here about a situation I had with a client where I represented the buyer. My name is Kathy Burns, and this is Real Estate Riches. Please subscribe below and ask me questions. Let me know some of your stories because, man, there are great lessons in real estate to learn. So I sold a client a pretty expensive piece of property. I think they paid 1.4 in Davidson, North Carolina, which is a very nice, beautiful community area, kind of old fashioned. There's no college there. So anyway, I sold this house to them, and we had a few glitches toward the end where the money wasn't being transferred on time, and I was not the guilty party. We just had issues. Every realtor deals with issues at one point with the closing being delayed. So anyway, it was the other side agent, the listing agent. He had real problems with my clients, so he felt scarred. Well, anyway, a couple years later, property comes up that is adjacent to this client's property, and they wanted to buy it. I think it was 5 acres of, let's see, 8 acres of which only 5 really could be used because there was a pond on there. It was a big hill. They just wanted it for additional property because they were at the end of a street in kind of a rural area, and this would make it much more private, which was really their preference. So they literally walked over to the neighbor's house and knocked on the door and said, I'd like to buy the property, and I see that you've got it for sale, and I'll pay you full price. He told the property owner this. So then he calls me up and he goes, Kath, we want to go over and take a look at it though, because even though I said I'd do it, I should really take a look. And this was a former sawmill on the property. So it had barns and different buildings on it all around the property, and a very unique home that was very eclectic. It was a ranch with a lower level, and every part of it, including the stairs to the lower level, was very eclectic. The stairs were from an old firehouse in downtown Charlotte. Cool, but the price point was $1 million basically. It was 950,000. And when you did the comps on it, it was like 750 tops, right? Because so much of the property couldn't be used. You could only build one house on there if you took that one down. And unless you really loved quaint, you were going to take that one down to make it make sense for the money, right? But they wanted it for like a guest house. They wanted it so that they could have a barn on there and put some storage of some of the things that they had currently have, because they're car collectors. They've got lots of stuff. And anyway, they were building this giant pool in the back of their house. Incredible pool. I never saw anything like it. That's another story. Anyhow, so I call up the agent, and I set up a time for us to go take a look at it. And he's not there. He gives us permission, and we go there and we go through the house. We see the eclecticness, and they're looking at different things that they thought maybe they'd want to buy, because the seller is in her 80s and supposedly in declining health. And that's what the agent said. Here's where it started to be the integrity. She didn't look like she was in declining health. She could have been, but she was pretty spunky. And I'm close to her age, and she was very spunky. So anyway, but she was living offsite in another town in, I think, a condo or a townhouse or something. She wasn't going to use this furniture. And my clients was interested in the furnitures of some of the pieces. So we're writing some of those down, and we were going to talk to the agent about potentially buying some of that. And so I sent a text and an email saying my clients are willing to give you full price, $950 cash, can close in 3 weeks. And I sent along proof of funds because he was a little leery from the last time. I wanted him to know, here's the bank account, here's where the money will come from. Boom, it can go in 3 weeks. I said, however, if your client needs longer, we're happy to give her whatever time she needs without a rent back, or we'll wait. And so he didn't respond. So I called him, I think it was the next morning, because this was in the afternoon. Probably around 7 o'clock at night. We saw it around 5. I sent that all over at 7. And I did it in a text and an email because I didn't want to write up an official contract just yet, because we had 2 options. Remember how I said it had a sawmill? Well, that sawmill was full of wood. So were the other barns. Broken down vehicles in there, tractors, all kinds of stuff. So the offer was in 2 components. One, we'll give you full price, and you take care of all the stuff that's on the property. Empty the house out, whatever. And all the barns, the sawmill, whatever. Or we'll give you 900 and we'll take care of all of it. You can just walk right away. Take whatever you want and walk away with whatever you don't want to deal with. And I, again, as I said, I did not put that in a written contract. But in North Carolina, that is a contract in a sense. That's an offer that needs to be delivered. So when I called him the next day, I said, "What'd your client say?" And he goes, "About what?" I go, "You received it. I saw that you read it because it showed up on my phone." And he goes, "Yeah, I got it." He goes, "I wasn't going to deliver that to my client." I goes, "You got to give me a written contract." I go, that was that was an offer. I didn't need to put that in writing because we have two choices there. I need to know, how would she like us to go? Which way? We'll give her full price. We'll give her cash. Does she want more days? Why would I write up something I just got to change immediately when you can just show her that and talk to her and we could work it out? This is where integrity comes into play. Well, this guy had, in my mind, is all I'm saying, he had ulterior motives. I think he was trying to get both sides of the deal. Anyway, he did not. I wrote up the contract now at 900 with an email that said, "We will pay full price. And here's the deal." I'm just writing it up to get something in writing that we can start to work with, seeing as that's the way you want to work. But in my email, I also said full price. Texted it over. I just sent it. Please confirm you received it. He received it. What he didn't do was deliver it again. So he didn't deliver. And I finally called the broker in charge and I said, I think I sent her an email at first. And I said, "I want to have a conversation with you about your agent who's being incredibly unethical. And side note, this guy is very successful in the area. He sells all kinds of homes in Davidson, North Carolina. I have dealt with him just once before, but I won't ever deal with him again unless I absolutely have to. And I will watch him like a hawk because I don't trust him in the slightest." I've had this conversation with other agents, and this is not his first time. So his reputation is not clean. So sometimes cliquey people have cliques that they work together with. It's not my world. I said, "We need a deadline. We want a deadline to this answer." And he goes, "I'll get you an answer." I think it was Wednesday. And I think this all started like on a Friday. And so now he was going to get me an answer, or he delivered it on a Wednesday. He needed to do it in person because she was older. Then all of a sudden he said, Thursday, they've accepted another offer. Is it over their price? Could we have been in multiple offers? Now he had, the seller has a right to accept any offer they want. Now that seller's not even going to be living there. So if they had an issue with that client, my client, which they could have, why would you care if you're getting full price and you can walk? I don't understand. This is where I believe, this is all my conjecture, that this had to do with the agent. She did not want to have that house torn down because she had so much emotional ties to that whole land and everything. She also was concerned about that, and she didn't want a builder to just come in and mow everything down that she had and just build a bunch of homes. My sellers, my buyers, sorry, my buyers said that they saw him out there with another person, and their guy that's working for them in their on their pool said that is a local builder and he is such and such. So this agent was not following her rules of not wanting a builder on there. And interestingly enough, he would have been representing it, meaning dual agency, getting both sides. So now, as I mentioned, I reached out to that broker in charge and I said to her blatantly, said, "This guy did not deliver my offer." And he said, "Well, that's my standard of business." I said, "I referenced the ethics codes." I said, "You know that this was a legitimate offer, full price." And she did not jump on that. She just said, she's being directed, they're being directed by this elderly client and who is not feeling well. And my clients lived next door to her. They knew her. This was not her case. She was well enough to take a lesser offer by $20,000. They delayed that. They dragged that out 3 months. And I said, "I'm going to watch that like a hawk and see if this guy got both sides." He did not, but I question it. I question it because the agent that was the agent on the other side was out of his same office. And I can't prove anything. but I would love to report him to the commission. Do you want to know my hassle with that? Is how difficult it is to report a fellow agent. And I have never done that in my 19 years of real estate. Never reported another agent. Been mad? Boy, I want to report him. I wish I could hire a private detective to figure out all these pieces. And not because of vengeance, because of integrity, because he should not get away with doing the bull that he just did. Cost his client $20,000. And he could have worked out some illegal venture on the background of how he got that commission. I don't know. And I'm not saying his name in here. So I'm not bad mouthing him publicly, but I am certainly mentally. I just think that it's very challenging. And I think that that broker in charge just wanted to push it aside, even though she's very reputable herself in the area because he is who he is and selling so much for that office. I just think that was shady. And I don't like doing business with that. And I don't want to do the business with that. Now, what's the point of the story? The point of the story is you're going to run into people like this. Your clients could be like this. The other side could be like this. But I represented the buyers. I couldn't walk from this. And I needed to stay in there and fight for them in every way that I could. And I did. And fortunately, they weren't mad at me. But I did write up that contract for the 900. But they understand. And I showed them in the ethics that that was a legitimate offer that had to be submitted. So from an ethics violation, I want to file it, but it takes like 2 days to do all the paperwork, and I'm not exaggerating. And the processes you have to go through to inhibit agents from reporting other agents, I think they need to work on that because this guy needs to be reported regularly because I've heard many, many things about this particular guy, and he does not do his client service, nor does he do his firm service, nor does he do himself service. So integrity is a core value for me. I really get crazy over that. So anyway, that's today's integrity question. How do you feel about it? Have you run into situations like this? And what did you do about it? Did you go report them? I want to report them. Anyway, subscribe below and let's stay tuned for the next one, right?